Joining me now to break down Super Bowl 59 is Hall of Fame wide receiver, the one and only Cris Carter. All he did was catch touchdowns. What's up, big time? How are you doing, man? How's everything?
Thank you for invitation day after the Super Bowl. It wasn't the type of game that we would like, but you got to give it up to Philadelphia.
That's where I was going. It was an ass kicking.
Yeah.
It was an ass kicking, Chris. 40 to 22 does not indicate how dominant this damn game was. Make no mistake about it. What stood out most to you about this game?
I was totally shocked that they were able to rush 4 people, the minimum amount of rush people, and put the maximum amount of pressure by doing that. And I know that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have been doing this the last 5 years with hocus pocus, but they really got exploited as far as their weakness on that offensive line. Their left tackle is not a left tackle, and their right tackle is not a good right tackle. So Philadelphia was able to do that and play all their zone coverages and keep all eyes on Patrick Mahomes. It was a great game plan, but they had the personnel to be able to execute that game plan.
Chris, it's one thing for me if I see a game and it's like something's developing and you recognize that you might have an advantage, so you exploit it. It's another thing entirely when the Philadelphia Eagles appear to walk into the game knowing exactly what they were going to be able to do, seemingly having little to no concern whatsoever about their defensive line being neutralized in any way by the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. Is that what you saw?
Well, I think that they had a lot of confidence coming into the games. Anytime that you see a dominant defense, if we've seen the top defense in the NFL be in this game 13 times now, and 11 times that top defense has won the championship, only losing twice. So when you have 2 weeks to prepare, you can find out the weakness of the opposition like no other week during the season. So there was a time in Super Bowls where we saw a lot of blowouts. Now, not of late, we've had a lot of close matchups, but this was a blowout from the beginning, and it because of one unit, and that was the defensive front. Yeah, they had a great game plan. They didn't have to put their safeties and their linebackers in man-to-man, and you didn't have to blitz Patrick Mahomes, because that's what Fangio has figured out in the last 8 times that he faced Patrick Mahomes. Guess what? I haven't beat him. Guess what I did? I blitzed an awful lot. He's great against the blitz. So he was able to have that game plan, have the personnel, be able to play a style that he wanted to, and he got the support of the offense putting points on the board, which led to Kansas City's panic.
You know, I'm looking at some of these numbers, CC, and I got to tell you something. When the Eagles were up 24-0 in the first half, which was a shock in and of itself, I knew Patrick Mahomes had already thrown a pick 6. I knew he had thrown another interception at his own 14-yard line. But I'm looking at some of these numbers. 24-0, 0 first downs, 1 first down, 23 total net yards, 0 for 6 on 3rd down. What about Patrick Mahomes here?
Well, we have seen the greatest players in this game, and that's why football is the ultimate team game. We give credit to the quarterback all the time. And then we also give blame to the quarterback. But he can't do his job if he can't get to the top of his drop. When you have a 4-man rush and he has 5 people protecting them, and the numbers advantage is on the offensive side. But Philadelphia, they flipped that. So, yes, Patrick Mahomes, he played an average game. All he had was 250. 3 touchdown passes, but the pick 6s and trying to force the ball was because he saw that not only do we not have an answer to this defense, but, offensively, Philadelphia is also putting points on the board. So that sped up Patrick Mahomes' clock, even though in the previous Super Bowls that he won, he had been down by 10 points. This was a different beast that he was facing in yesterday's Super Bowl.
I saw the Kansas City Chiefs get blown out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've now seen them get blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowls. They've been outscored by 40 points. In 3 Super Bowl losses, Tom Brady has been outscored by just 15 points. Somehow, some way, no matter what the Giants' pass rush looked like, not once but twice, no matter what the Philadelphia Eagles, their defense looked like. No matter what the Legion of Boom looked like when he ended up beating Seattle, because Pete Carroll and Darrell Bevell decided for Russell Wilson to try to throw a pass at the half-yard line instead of giving it up to beast mode. We've never seen Tom Brady look so lost, so discombobulated, so destroyed in a game the way that we saw Patrick Mahomes. Is the GOAT conversation over for now anyway?
Well, I wouldn't hold my breath about it. You know, people try to get ahead of what history really is. People try to prognosticate compared to watching it and seeing where it goes. I mean, Tom Brady was never put in this situation also because Tom Brady had Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick would have never had a game plan like that against an offensive line like that. You know, so that's part of the equation there. When you talk about Tom Brady, you have to put Bill Belichick. I saw him at the Super Bowl. Excited to see what he's going to do for the North Carolina Tar Heels, but preparation. That to me, that line was not prepared mentally nor physically for what the Philadelphia Eagles are going to do, which we didn't see in Tom Brady. So now when you start to separate, now he's 3-2 in Super Bowls. Tom Brady 7-2, 7-3 in Super Bowls. It's a hard time to get back up that mountain. But there's a lot of football left to be played. But I doubt that he's going to pass Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback that we've seen play in the National Football League.
No, I was just talking about the GOAT conversation for the time being, but you brought up Bill Belichick. This is Andy Reid is no slouch. Andy Reid is one of the great coaches in NFL history. Not. So what are we to think about Andy Reid and how ill prepared the Kansas City Chiefs looked to go up against the Philadelphia Eagles, especially since he made virtually no attempt to run the football at all yesterday?
Right. I think Andy Reid's going to go back and look at it just like he did in Tampa Bay. They do a good job as far as personnel and given some of the economics since then, as far as some of the players they had to get rid of, Tyreek Hill, to be able to afford Patrick Mahomes' new contract. They'll retool. They realize that their left tackle is a very good all-pro guard, and he can't play left tackle. They realize the right tackle is going to jump offside an awful lot, and he's only going to be an average player. So they will retool. Their defense was very, very good. Outstanding. Didn't have a good day yesterday. So that's what they'll do from a personnel department. They're going to put good players around Patrick Mahomes. His receiving core will be absolutely better next year than the one he had this year, just because of injury, subtraction, add and subtraction. And he hasn't been loaded at the wide receiver spot for the last couple years. So there's ways that they can improve their roster. Don't panic, retool, and Patrick Mahomes will play another Super Bowl.
Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, the legendary defensive coordinator in the eyes of many, who should be a Hall of Famer in his own right. Not once, but twice he's been lit up by Philadelphia Eagles now. He gave up 35 points in Super Bowl 57. The Eagles dropped 40 yesterday, even though a pick six and another interception basically set up another touchdown, by interceptions by Patrick Mahomes. What are we to make of Spagnuolo?
Well, if you look at the personnel, this defense does not match up well against Philadelphia because, especially this year's version of it, where they can smash it at you with Barkley. Everybody thought, oh, man, make them throw the football. That's not what you want to do, because when you do make them throw the football, typically you're in man-to-man because you got to put all those guys up at the line of scrimmage because of the box. And Jalen Hurts' ability to be able to be accurate with the football at an all-time high, he only keeps getting better. He got benched in the national championship game for Tua. Tua comes back and throws one. He has to transfer, goes to Oklahoma, starting to learn the passing game, doesn't get drafted in the first round. He's still learning the passing game. He never gets enough credit. All he does is win. All he does is get better. And the personnel around him, offensive line, 6'6", Stephen A., 330. They're monsters. In the NFL, they are monsters. I mean, they look behemoths compared to Kansas City's defensive front. And that's what they're getting. And let's not forget, I'm going to say this, Philadelphia has been the best team in the NFL in the last year and a half. Last year, they started the season 10-1. Now their head coach is growing. They had some inside stuff going on in the team, but they were 10-1. And then now we know they fell apart. And then this year they win the Super Bowl. So they've been doing a lot of winning there in Philadelphia, ironing stuff out. And I do believe their head coach is only going to mature even more. And the players play hard for him. It's a special combination. So I can understand Spagnuolo. Yes, he does a great job. But the personnel Philadelphia, Devontae Smith, AJ, man, Saquon, Hurt, man, they provide mismatches that he doesn't necessarily have answers to. And that's why they've been so productive in those two meetings.
Let me throw something at you about Jalen Hurts, because listen. The man deserves major props, no doubt to him. Congratulations, the whole nine. But when I think about Jalen Hurts and what he's done in the postseason, over the last 3 postseasons, people don't realize this about him. His record is 6-2. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's now won a Super Bowl championship. He's completed 69.5% of his passes, 102.5 passer rating, 19 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions, 9 pass, 10 runs, and just 2 turnovers. So those are great numbers on the part of Jalen Hurts. What I would push back on you, though, Chris, is this. People act like folks were just hating on them. And I'm of the mindset, wait a minute. We needed to see. We suspected you could do it, but we needed to see it, and there's no crime there because since week 5, the Eagles have rushed the football more than anybody else in the National Football League, and they've thrown the football, less than anybody in the entire National Football League. So whatever question marks we may have had about Jalen Hurts was created by the Eagles more so than anybody else. To that, you say what?
Well, most teams run the football because they either have a dominant offensive line, they have a great running back or philosophy, or the fourth thing is their quarterback doesn't have the arm talent to be able to lead the team and throw on the ball 40 times. The Eagles, they don't have that in Jalen Hurts, but their other answers to winning are better than him dropping back 40 times. Because of their offensive line, say for the last 8 or 10 years, they've been dominant, and now they have one of the best running backs that they've ever had in their history. So now, how am I going to choose to win games? After the bye week, they said, Jeff Stoutland, offensive line coach, great guy, underrated in their system. We're going to run the football. Everyone bought into it. So when they're running the football, they get a lot of man-to-man on the outside. So there's a lot of ways to win games. Jalen Hurts' development has been very, very different than a lot of other quarterbacks that we've seen. So a lot of times, to me, I'm like, I need to see a little more too. So I can understand that. Yes, you need to be able to see more, but sometimes people are not just running the ball because lack of arm talent. It's because of the overall way to be able to win a football game, utilize the talent that we have as far as, man, we're bigger than them. We're more physical than them. And there's a mentality from the team that goes through the fan base and the mentality of Philadelphians. So I think those different windows and his passing is still developing. It gave people that opportunity to say, you know something, he's not as good as Lamar. He's not as good as Patrick. He's not as good as Josh and some of these other players.
Well, is he now?
Yeah, you got to give it to him.
All right, give it to him how? Whoa. I'm asking you a specific question. Give it to him how? Do you have him as a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League right now?
Right now, if I got a draft, and if Jalen Hurts is not drafted right after that, it's just because we are in the elite time in quarterbacks. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you something. Do you think if Joe Burrow wasn't in Philadelphia, they wouldn't have won some Super Bowls? If Josh Allen wasn't in Philadelphia, they wouldn't have won a Super Bowl. If Lamar was in Philadelphia. So I'm not going to say top 5, but he should be in the top 10. And just because he's not in the top 5, that is not a slap in the face, man. Right. We are in the golden age of dudes that can throw that football.
Got it. Understood.
And he happens to be one of them.
Let me move on to a fraternity that you are a member of, the Hall of Fame. Their class of 2025 was revealed. It obviously includes Antonio Gates, Eric Allen, the one and only Sterling Sharp, who I was just with the other night, and former Viking Jared Allen. Your thoughts on the class that includes only 4 inductees this year?
People think it's just a no-brainer every year. 6, 7, 8 guys are going to go in. That's not the truth. The Hall of Fame is still trying to be selective, and you need to get 80% of the vote. So guess what happened this year, Stephen A? We have 4 people that got 80% of the vote. Now, would I have liked to see another receiver get in, given the receivers that are on the list and have been waiting, that being Torrey Holt, that being Reggie Wayne, that being Stephen A. Smith Sr. All these guys are going to be Hall of Famers. But I had to tell some of them, too, even after this, hey, if you would have gotten in, Sterling Sharp wouldn't have gotten in. But let me tell you something, which you might not know. And I had to go back to maybe your daddy was thinking about courting your mom. This dude was a beast. This dude was one of my role models.
You talking about Sterling Sharp? You talking about Sterling Sharp?
Yes.
Oh, he was a monster. People don't realize of a monster he was.
Hall of Fame was a crime. And
that's right.
The reason why he hadn't reached the accolades for which he should have received was the guy broke his neck.
Right.
So for me, man, this is one of the greatest stories ever not only his story to get to the Hall, but by the way, man, he grew up in an awful situation with another kid who's in the Hall. The first time it ever happened.
That's right.
Now, Stephen A., I'm gonna give you some numbers. 350 million people have played football in some form or fashion. 28,000 of us played the National Football League. Only 14,000 of us played more than 4 years. Only 382 of us in the Hall of Fame. And now Sterling, number 382. It's an unbelievable story, man. It is unbelievable. I'm moved deep in my soul, man, to have them guys in the Hall because of their ability to be able to overcome adversity and make themselves better through football.
He deserves
Last thing I'm going to say about Sterling.
Go ahead.
He gave me my first opportunity to go to the Pro Bowl when he hurt his neck. We were at the Super Bowl in Atlanta. We were in the hospitality suite. He found out that I was the alternate. It was my first 1,000-yard season. And he was like, bro, man, congratulations. I was like, yeah, he had just finished his third straight 100-catch season. And he's congratulating me on the 1,000-yard season. And I said, yeah, man, I'm altered. He got on the house phone and called Green Bay and came up with an injury. Called the training room and said my hamstring's hurt. The NFL called me 20 minutes later in the hospitality suite. And I was able to go to my first Pro Bowl of 8 Pro Bowls.
Wow.
But at that time, Sterling Sharp, Michael Irvin, Jerry Rice, and Andre Rison. Those were the receivers in the NFC. And it was him and Jerry Rice who's the best. All right. So I can't make people forget that conversation. That dude was worthy of it. The other cats, they will get their recognition. A great class, small class, EA, from Philadelphia, came into the league after my second year in the league. Him and I had a lot of battles, man, in practice. And then throughout the league, Jared Allen, how special he was to rush the passer. Like all these guys have just unusually very, very, special stories that will be told in Canton this summer. I'm looking forward to it.
I totally agree with you, and it was great seeing him. I was there that night when he got the announcement. Obviously, his brother, Shannon is my dog, and and just it was real emotional for them. But I've known Sterling for many, many years, man, and he's a great, great guy. And people don't realize what a great receiver he was when he was healthy. It was Jerry Rice, and it was him. People forget that. This is before Randy Moss, so everybody forgets that. Last question for you, sticking with the Hall of Fame. Travis Kelce will be in the Hall of Fame without question when he retires. Is it time for him? Do you believe it's time for him? Or do you think that after such a catastrophic loss yesterday, he's going to come back?
I think he's going to come back. I know him very well. He works out here in South Florida. He came down here getting ready for the combine, and he's been coming back every year with the trainer who worked out in the gym. I'm very familiar with. So I look for him to use this as fuel. That's what the great players do. He has no need to look at any part of this season besides this game because there was no hint. There was no breath. There was not even a stench that he had lost his edge, even given the high-profile relationship that he's in. People might question that. He's handled that strategically amazing and still playing at a high level. No, I look for him to come back. But the thing about it is, as you get older, people exploit your weaknesses. One thing that Philadelphia last night, they was not worried about him being a blocker.
Right.
Now, him not being a dominant blocker in the line of scrimmage, that's been a tremendous advantage. But as you get older, they start honing in on your fastball. Yeah. They start making you do things that you're not as comfortable doing. So that's something you have to be able to manage. So I think they'll keep growing that offense. They'll do some things to protect him. But I see him playing another 2 seasons.
2 seasons? Not 1, 2?
I see him playing another 2 seasons. When he starts trying to go home and he ain't special, like it ain't nothing special he do like football. I know he's doing this podcast and all that, but hey, there's a lot of pressure right there with the woman these days. I don't think she's going to quit no time soon. So I keep going to work, Steven.
CC, I holler back at you, my brother. Appreciate all your contributions to the show during the football season, man. Had to cap it out with you, man. Thanks so much, bro. You take it easy, right?
No, thank you, bro. All love, bro.
All love, always.